Morning. Okay, you guys, I had such a great interview with the guest. His name is David McPhee, and I'm going to show you a clip from that interview, and we're going to talk about it because one of the things that drew me to ask him to be a guest on my podcast is that he wrote about how he tells therapists not to ask questions. And I thought, what is this guy talking about? So we're going to talk about that today because I found the conversation fascinating. I'm going to show you a little clip and then let's unpack it a little more. Here's a clip. Do you remember that?
Again and again and again.
Hey, do tell, David, what does that mean?
Okay, here's what it means.
Okay.
You're interviewing me. You are in charge. This is your podcast. You get to ask the questions. I'm here to give answers. Okay? You're the boss, not me. And I want to please you, and I want to do a good job, and for Therapist Sanctuary, etc., and all of that. And so I'm very comfortable with you being the boss and you being in charge. When I tell therapists, please stop asking questions, and when I tell my students, no questions for a year, none, zero.
What? So he does get into it more in the further on the interview, what he means by that and what, because I'm like, what are we supposed to be doing? All my training, a lot of my training was on this carefully crafted, question generating ability. And I don't think that I could go a year. I couldn't go 5 minutes. I tried it in the session I had right after I talked to him. I thought, I'm going to go this whole session, not ask a single question. Couldn't do it. But it did make me think about why I was asking certain questions. So he goes on to say this. His basic point is that when the therapist is asking all the questions, number one, they're controlling the session. So they're asking about what they want to hear about. They're asking about what they can tolerate. They're asking about what makes them feel useful because it fits with whatever modality they feel good at. In other words, he says, it's not about the client anymore. It's about the therapist's needs. Seems a bit harsh, doesn't it? I mean, we're not doing that on purpose, but I get what he was saying, right? So basically, he said that, clients want to please the therapist. He never said this, but I will add the whole idea of clients play out with therapists what little girls and little boys play out with mommy and daddy very often. So not sort of starting with a whole bunch of questions gives room for that dynamic to be broken a little, which is really important, in my opinion, to the client's development through their therapy, that we don't just replicate a parent-child dynamic. And how do you not do that? You give the client more power than they ever had in that dynamic with you. So we suffer through, therefore, our own discomfort of not knowing what the session will bring. We suffer, therefore, through our own fear of uncertainty. We let go of pushing the therapy that we feel most competent at, like this high-level stuff, right? I mean, and we just relate. So when I said to him, okay, so what do you do? He entered into a dialogue with me that was a lot about him sharing things like, I've been thinking about you a lot since I saw you last. Ugh, who doesn't want to hear that? That's when he talked about Uncle Carl. He did talk about wondering. I was wondering and thinking, which in a way is a sort of a question in disguise. But the main point, I think, was just leave space and let the client come forward, and then tell them how much you care about them and how much you've thought about them. Okay, so let's challenge ourselves this week. See if you can go an entire session without asking a single question. Let's try it. What do you got to lose? Because obviously it works for this guy, David. Okay, we'll talk later about that. Leave your comments somewhere. I don't know where, but somewhere. Okay, bye.